Welcome to the EQ Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. As always, thank you for joining us for another great edition of the EQ Video Tip. Before we jump in, let's review the goals of EQ Video Tip. What's on tap today? Well, we've got a great article on how great leaders communicate. Remember, leaders does not mean managers. It means anyone who's leading in an organization. And it comes to us from Carmine Gallo. And Carmine talks to us about how great leaders are able to influence and convince people to work for them and work for the team as well. Great example that Carmine uses is Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos walked into the office one day and convinced his entire staff that PowerPoint presentations were no longer needed anymore. Instead, people were going to write documents and they're going to have great communication skills when trying to convince someone. We're going to go through 4 great tips today on how to be the most effective leader in terms of communication style. Let's jump in right now. Tip number 1, use short words to talk about hard things. A lot of times we use big words to overemphasize things or to sound more intelligent, but in fact, the research tells us that it's more important to use short words to talk about hard things. And what do we mean by this? Well, there's different software out there that can tell you if you're writing at the level of a 5th grader, a 10th grader, a college graduate, a PhD professor. Just because you're writing at the level of PhD professor doesn't mean that you're able to convey your message. In fact, it's easier for the brain to understand things when it's short and sweet and to the point. When you make things simple, you're not dumbing it down in terms of the content, you're actually making it easier for people to understand what you're talking about. And in doing so, you're actually outsmarting your competition. So use short words to talk about hard things. Tip number 2, choose sticky metaphors to reinforce key concepts. For example, there may be concepts out there like protecting the fort or creating a moat around your business. Or for example, some people say, don't Monday morning quarterback something. Whatever it is, make sure that you use an example that people will relate to so they understand what you're trying to do. In doing so, you will make someone automatically search for something familiar with them so that they'll help understand and make sense of the concept you're trying to prove. Again, choosing a sticky metaphor will reinforce the key concepts you're trying to convey as a leader. Tip number 3, humanize data to create value. For example, if I said to you that we're going to take 175 zettabytes of data annually to record this show, it doesn't mean much to you. Maybe it's a lot, maybe it's not that much. But if we said that it's 100 trillion gigabytes, you might say, I don't understand what that means either. But if you made it simpler and said, doing that kind of storage would essentially take DVD discs around the earth 220 times, you would say, oh my God, that's a lot of data. So think about how you can take the data and make it relatable to somebody else. For example, maybe it's as large as the building that you're working in. Whatever it is, humanize data to create value. Our last tip, make mission your mantra. What do we mean by that? Whatever your mission is, whether it's to provide the best healthcare out there, or to be a great car company, or to be a great service provider, or a great healthcare provider, whatever it might be, make that mission your mantra so that the whole team buys in and understands that the mission is what we're working on a day-to-day basis. And we're here to provide maybe the best healthcare ever, or the best customer service. Whatever it is, make that mission your mantra so you can align your team. That's a wrap for this week's EQ video tip. Hopefully these tips help you grow your EQ and you can use them in your work life as well as your personal life as well to become a better leader on a daily basis. Remember, use them to your ability, but customize them to help you make your day even better. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember,
Use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.